It's time. We're not live, but we're kind of live. What's up, guys? My name is Random, and I am here with Mazer. And guess what? Mushoku Tensei is back, and so am I. But this time, I have help. I'm bringing Mazer. For those of you guys who remember, Mazer's from my 2023 Anime Year in Review video. And by the time you see this, the last part should be out. If not, it's going to be out shortly right after that. But Mazer, how you doing? How you been, man?
I've been good. I've been busy. Life is lifing.
Mm-hmm.
It's been pretty hectic, but things have finally settled down to a point where I'm getting caught back up on my shows. I'm wanting to get Any Day Anime ramped back up here at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but for right now, I'm not too worried about the stress of having the show. I just want to be able to enjoy the anime and give it the just due that it deserves. And so that's where I'm at right now. And I'm so glad I'm doing it that way because we're getting ready to dive into it. And I'm glad that I can just watch and appreciate for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because it's beautiful and I'm loving it.
Well, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but this spring season is stacked, like stacked in a way that I can't remember. And we thought last year we was like, wow, last year all, but like obviously
Hmm.
all the OG, I call it like Isekai month, like all the OGs, all like I used to call them the Mount Rushmore, but I'm calling them the starting five because I always feel bad leaving Konosuba out, but
Yep.
Konosuba's back. Obviously, Mushoku Tensei is starting to finish up the second season. Slime is back. Overlord is technically back because they're dropping a movie
The
this
movie.
month, and
Yep.
then ReZero in October is back, season 3.
And on
So,
top of all that, we got Black Butler
mhm.
dropping new stuff that I didn't see coming. Uh, we got what is it?
Well,
Wind
Kaiju number 8,
Guardian, Kaiju
Kaiju
number
number
8.
8.
Yep. I want
The
to say
one
it's called like Wind Guardian or something. It's very like Tokyo Revenger esque.
was it Wind Guardian, Windbreaker?
Windbreaker,
Yes,
Windbreaker. That's what it
yeah,
is. Yep. Um,
Windbreaker.
but a lot of the hype going around is saying that it's actually better than Tokyo Revengers. So I'm gonna
Well,
have to dive
hopefully,
into that one and peep it and see what's up.
hopefully, what killed Tokyo Revengers was obviously its ending, where I mean, also maybe Takamichi's like the one anime protagonist. I'm like, I could kick his ass.
Oh yeah, that okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
My
so we've
man's
talked.
my
Yeah,
man's
we've
been
talked about it on the regular
struggling.
pod all the time. Yeah, so I'm gonna peep that one, and then also one because I think every season a manhwa gets an adaptation. Obviously, the big one last season was Solo
Solo
Leveling,
leveling.
which thank God they did a rise right. It's like they brought the guy who did Nanami into just to say those words because like he's
Oh,
talking regularly. Then the arise part Ikuro, just like he says it nice and deep, and I was like, yo, that's they had to get that. They had to
yep.
get that right, and they got it right. And then for this season, it's Viral Fight, where I don't know how much manhwa you actually read, but Viral Fight's basically a kid is getting bullied, like viciously bullied, and then he fights his bullies,
Okay.
right? So after he beats up his bullies, he basically just goes around like the area in Korea or wherever the story's set, and he beats up like those people's bullies on the internet, and it goes viral.
Okay.
Like,
I might have to turn into that one. Okay.
so I've only read a few chapters of the manhwa, but it was one of those where like I had so much going on. I was like, this is it's so dumb that it works. But I'm like, I'm about to after we're done here getting ready for the podcast, I'm about to watch that bartender anime because I'm like, for some reason, I'm just gonna like this. I
Yep.
feel like I'm just gonna
From
like it.
reading the synopsis, it sounds a lot like it's going to be similar to Restaurant in Another World,
Hmm.
just bartending instead of restaurant.
I love restaurant. It's just one of those
Restaurant in
you
Another World
just
was incredible.
yeah, you're just vibing and you just throw that on, right? And you just so I'm obviously gonna say check out Viral Fight, and then and then obviously Misfit of a Demon King Academy's coming back next
Yep.
week. Um, I'm forgetting a lot more. Then right when we think April got us, start of May, Demon Slayer's back.
Yep. With the
Um,
Hashira training arc, which will be the
Hashira training
final
arc,
arc,
the
because
final
of the
anime
the
arc,
trilogy movie
guys.
setup is going to end it.
Hmm. We're not, at least the rest of us on Black Sense Society, we're not really that excited because we know it's a setup for the movies. But we finally get to see Gyome and Sanemi, get their
Hmm.
chance to really shine. So I think that's a big part. Plus, we got a few leaks that somebody showed us of what the first episode's going to be. So once we kind
Hmm.
of get closer, we're going to talk about it a little bit more. But we're going to talk about all that, I guess, later because we're going to be, I plan, Mazer, barring unforeseen circumstances, every week we talk about the next episode of Mushoku Tensei. And I've been hyping up this core too because it's a labyrinth arc. And I know we say this, the labyrinth arc is going to feed families because Turning Point 3 is coming. And I've been telling my co-captains at on BSS, I've been telling anybody who listens, y'all not ready for Turning Point 3. You're just not. Turning
Okay.
Point 1 kind of eased you in. Turning Point 2, you saw Orston in all his glory, and we don't need to talk about what he did to the squad. And
Oof.
then Turning Point 3 is woo. So, I guess since it's the first episode of the new chord, that we didn't really get that much in terms of story and all
Hmm.
that because it's just kind of easing people back in. But what did you think of the episode?
The new episode, I loved it. It was the first episode that I saw that had like this, even like the slightest like horror theme to it, and
Hmm.
just like a part of the episode. But it was nice and refreshing to me because I wasn't expecting that at all. Like it was
Hmm.
just completely out of left field, but in a great way. Um, I like that. Um, Rudius is okay with passing the mantle on things and distributing the workload. We got to see that a little bit, and man, the new house is it's pretty ballin'. That dude needs to. I don't know what his finances are like, but he needs to calm down a little bit.
Well, I think the one thing, because that's actually been a big topic of conversation in the Mushoku Tensei subreddit, was how is he able to afford a house like that? Well, first things first, it's a haunted house, so it's not as actually as expensive as you think it is. But also, A rank adventurers in the Mushoku Tensei world live pretty comfortably. Like obviously, if in terms of unless you're like just outright blowing your money, you should be okay. That's why when
Yeah,
you saw in the first part, so that the party that Rius leaves town with, by the way, I'm still mad about Sarah. Like, I'm still mad about the first four episodes of Core One because if that was done in a movie, it's the perfect like tragic movie for Mushoku Tensei. I really think the series messed up not making that into a movie. Just like how you did with Mugen Train, you could have done it with those first four episodes. But I miss Sarah every day. She's just like I just want her to be happy. And
yeah.
obviously, in terms of I'm not going to spoil anything, but to kind of it is a big house. Obviously he brought his two best boys with him, but because it was haunted, it was not as expensive. And obviously they had to go in there and solve the problem. So technically they had to do the mission to solve the problem first. And if they did the mission, then Rudy would get the house.
Yeah,
So I liked it. I thought I'm gonna actually this kind of closer to the end of our time. But Xenober, I think I like the fact that he got a really big spotlight in this episode.
he did. I really liked that. Xanaba, low key though, and I'm interested to get your opinion on this.
Hmm.
Rudius got nerfed a little bit there. When the doll showed up,
Hmm.
um, because I mean, admittedly, caught him off guard. He was
Hmm.
struggling a little bit, but Xanaba just walked up and had his Broly moment and was just getting swiped up and nothing. He was fine with it.
Well,
Uh,
remember, real quick, Xanoba's a Miko. So Mikos have like superpowers basically, and Xanoba's superpower is super strength and like super technically super strength, but all the benefits that come with super strength. Because
yeah,
I think a lot of people forget just because Superman has super strength, he also needs like super durability. Also, just because you have super strength does not mean if you throw a punch with all your power, you're gonna rip your arm off. Yeah, I watch Invincible. You see how it goes in that universe.
yeah,
So I want to say, because I was like, I feel like Rudy should be able to take care of him easily, but maybe because he was in the house, he didn't want to destroy the house. If I'm trying to
yeah.
give him like a cop out, but I think that was all just kind of done so you could see that Xanober is not a pushover when it
And
comes to.
I agree. I think that's why it played out the way that it did was not necessarily to nerf Rudius, but to give Xanaba his flowers,
Hmm.
and let it see because in core one you see him struggling with Julie as far as like making the dolls and trying to learn how to use wordless magic and stuff like that. And so he was kind of sitting low, and so I think it was a good opportunity for them to be able to give him his flowers and show like, yo, he's got something to contribute. Like he's not just like a Krillin character, basically, where he's there, but like he really ain't doing nothing for the squad. Like
Hmm.
it gave him an opportunity to be able to show that he has something else to offer. And I did like that. The way they did it, I think, is what hit me, and I was like, "Yo, did they just nerf my man in the first episode of the new season?
Hmm.
Like, don't be doing this." I will say, I loved the renovations that he did, um, and it speaks to his character. And
Hmm.
something that we've discussed on multiple occasions is him growing from the beginning of the show and not really being a good guy, and
Hmm.
that character development that he undergoes from his first life going into the new life, and kind of his relationship with his parents. And I was like, yo, I never would have spoken to my father the way he spoke to his dad. But all that to say, he's come such a long way, and his thoughtfulness of others, and like with Xanabo, with the house, and with everything he's doing, just shows like you can grow and change and become a better version of yourself. And they're doing a fantastic job of really just displaying that.
That's the one thing. Whenever I bring it up, obviously on the BSS podcast or when I'm talking to anybody, even the TikTok I did, um, a lot of people run to Rudy as his past, about how he wasn't before in his first life, and not even to give any um like excuses for it, because no, he was a terrible person. He did horrendous things, but in a weird way, you got to add context. How did he get to that point? And the show clearly tells you, and they gives it to you in bits and pieces, and you will get more of it. And for to be honest with you, I expect Xanobu to get a little bit more love at the end of this core, but his time is coming. Preferably, I think probably, if I'm thinking right now, maybe the end of season 3, but probably season 4, where you're gonna like, this is who Zanoba is, you know what I mean? Like
Okay.
this is when he truly gets his time to shine, because it's kind of those where, in going the story, I think Cliff gets his first and then Zanoba gets his second. So it's just one of those things. Plus, I think, see, if I'm wondering that I'm just trying to think where exactly season 2 is gonna end in the story, because if it ends where I think it's gonna end, a lot of you guys are gonna be pissed, because it's like, why are you ending now? That's what. So because a lot of big problems with core 1, in my opinion, was a lot of the story was rushed. Obviously, I've talked about
Hmm.
volume 7, which is covering the first 4 episodes, a lot. Obviously, it should have been its own movie, blah blah blah. And while they did really nail the tragic love story between Sarah and Rudy, right?
Hmm.
They could have done a lot more with it. They really could have. That's why I'm saying a movie with, obviously, with a bigger budget, and allowing us to really fall in love with Counter Arrow, the party that he was a part of. So that why he was, people hated him in the beginning, then he becomes one of Rudy's best friends, or obviously Sarah and Rudy themselves. Maybe we could have seen more of what um Eris was doing, or obviously Sophie. Thank God they gave her her own episode 0, so she got her own time to shine.
Hmm.
And for the few people who I know are really big Eris fans, unless she gets an OVA, you don't expect to see her at all this season.
Well, so in the previews
Hmm.
for the season,
Hmm.
it does show her in
The Land of Swords.
Rigard, Regard, right? Isn't that his name?
Ruger.
Rieger, Ruger,
Ruger.
Rugerd. Okay.
Yeah.
But it shows them in like the trailer for the season. So I imagine that they're gonna get at least maybe like a half an episode.
Well,
Uh,
Ruger, based on how the story's gonna go, Ruger is gonna come back. That
okay.
so in if you, from the light novels, you'd get the story, and then you'd get like an epilogue chapter of what Eris was doing. You know,
Okay.
so if unless they change something up completely, you shouldn't see Eris at all. That's why I'm saying maybe she gets a couple OVAs to kind of show what she's been doing in the Land of Swords, because that's where she's at, because she's
Okay.
trying to get strong enough to fight Orsted.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Unless you, that's why I'm sitting there like, unless you, maybe they give her like a little mini arc of what she's technically been doing this whole time, because we're getting up to volume 12 of the novels. So if they give her like 4 episodes where like this is what she was doing in volume 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 4 episodes or something like that, I would actually kind of like that. It'd be a good way. Maybe you just save that for like the Blu-ray or something like that.
Well, if
And
they do it that way, how's the where do you think the season will end? Will it still end in the same spot?
I think my thing is I think that should come out in like the Blu-ray. Do you remember how Eris got her own OVA
Yeah.
at the end of season 1, like a few months later?
Mhm.
Maybe they could do something like that, but there's so much she's doing that I don't know if one episode could show it all. Because just in terms of her growth physically from the time she last saw Rudy to the time she will see Rudy again, which in my opinion, you won't see Rudy probably until the middle of season 3 at the earliest. Um, so because there's so much that needs to happen. But now we're doing a lot of speculation. But in terms of the episode itself, to kind of stop my ranting, I was really one another problem that we had was animation quality. They switched
Mm.
directors for season 2, core one, and it really showed. But also, Studio Bine's still pretty young. So other than Mushoku Tensei, they did another anime, The Weakest Tamer Learns How to Pick Up Trash.
Yep.
That was their second overall anime that they've done.
Okay.
And I thought that show looked great. So I wonder if, but the problem is Mushoku Tensei is such a big property that maybe taking on a second anime at the
Mhm.
same time was maybe a bad decision, because Mushoku, I think the animation quality for Core One really struggled. So obviously, starting with the new season, everything looked good in the first one, but there wasn't really that much action. So maybe as we go on, especially as we get into the Labyrinth arc, where it's going to be nonstop action for a little while, we need to make sure that the animation quality reaches the standards of season 1.
I was actually going to ask you about how you felt about the animation quality, because I know that was an issue with the first core of season 2, and
Hmm.
I thought the new episode looked great.
Hmm.
But I did want to ask you about that, how you felt about it.
It was, I mean, obviously for what we saw, I thought like for me, like when Rudy was jump scared, I was jump scared, which is
Hmm.
kind of actually pretty hard for me because to give you, I don't like horror movies because I just can't believe them. I can't suspend my disbelief to watch horror movies. Sure, a jump scare will get me, but then it'll be like, oh, all right. But I don't see how other people just get scared or whatever. I don't, understand that. Maybe my brain just doesn't make that. So when I got that jump scare, and then I saw immediately Rudy struggling, it was like for like a second, I was like, oh my God, he's in danger. And then, that's when Xanova comes in and does his thing. And I like the fact that I was able to kind of buy into that. Um, but overall, it was pretty good. Was it the best I've seen Mushoku Tensei be? No. There's the latter half of season 1. Every it's like every episode was bringing heat every single time. But also, Mushoku Tensei has a different kind of animation style compared to other studios.
Hmm.
It just looks a little bit different. I don't know how to describe it, but it was good. A few probably, if I'm thinking right now, maybe one more kind of really big action scene, which you've seen in the trailer, that I don't want to spoil, before the Labyrinth arc. Um, but other than that, um, it was good. It was good. A lot of
Yeah.
people got at least a little bit of time from obviously the 3 best boys, right? Then you got Sophie got a little bit, Rennie and Personal got a little bit, the rest of his special class got a little bit. Even
They were cracking me up.
they were like they
Yo,
were so scared of him.
don't stand too close to him. You'll get pregnant.
I mean, he's a dangerous man right now, especially now that his ED's been cured. He's at
Yep.
like he's so dangerous.
He
But
walked in and they had them animal senses tingling, and they said, "Oh, oh, we're about to be brides."
so I mean, I thought it was fun. Little, I think one quote from the episode was the girl in the white mask, Nana Hoshi.
Hmm. Oh,
She
yeah.
and so he wants to kind of talk to her because he's feeling real nice. Like, how do you feel about love? And she kind of shuts it down, but she's like, even I had a crush once, and then we
Yeah, and then
were,
she even goes on to say sometimes just spending time with them's enough.
and
And
that quote right there was like, damn,
I
because
was
there's
like,
so much regret in her voice because I wonder if you know. Actually, no, we're gonna save it. We're gonna save it because I don't think the
I
internet.
thought that maybe she was starting to fall a little bit for Rudius, and
I'm
so
not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna
she's
say
all
anything.
like, "Yo, uh, my dude over here sitting next to me, like I'm with it." Now that being said, this for me is purely speculation,
Hmm.
because I haven't read the light novel or anything. But my belief is that he's one of the people that he's saved at when he dies. Um,
Oh, the girl.
yeah, yeah. So again, I don't know for sure, but when he dies and prior to his reincarnation, I think that she's one of them, and she might
Hmm.
have a little bit of this. Oh, what is it when you?
I know what you're talking about. I was watching Royal Pains, and they mentioned it in the first episode. I know exactly what you're talking about. I just can't remember the name. But
Yeah,
basically,
where
like when they save you
so
and you fall in love with them
yeah, like
because they saved
it's
you.
not like necessarily even a physical attraction, but then
Hmm.
because it would be unrequited though because he died, and so I
Mm.
think that she's maybe. I don't think she realizes who Rudius is,
Hmm.
but I think that maybe she's like thinking of him, but in
Hmm.
his past life.
Mm.
And that's my speculation.
I think
I'm
it
a wait
should
and find
be
out.
confirmed. I think it should be confirmed this season, and then we'll talk about it because I want to tell you, but I'm not gonna say anything.
All right,
Um,
all right.
so in
Uh
terms, oh, go
oh,
ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say something that I really, really, really enjoyed. Was his moment with the boys, just spending the night together, doing stuff, and I was just like, I was talking with my girlfriend about it, and I was like, you know, sometimes like just these little adventures, like not necessarily a lot of planning involved or anything, just kind of going out on a little adventure, a little quest with the boys.
Hmm.
Um, doesn't have to be anything crazy, but it's going to be a memory that you guys talk about, for the next 60, 70 years of your
Hmm.
life. Be like, hey, you remember that time we was out here doing this? And oh yeah. Um, and it ain't even nothing necessarily crazy, but it's a memory. And I
Mhm.
feel like that's what happened with them during that night when they were at the house was making one of those core memories that they're going to be able to look back on.
Okay. I like that. I like that. I didn't even think about that because if you think about it, especially with Cliff, how we first met Cliff was him being so cocky in Eris's OVA,
Yep.
and then he immediately falls in love with Eris, right?
Yep.
And then like he sees Eris just start glazing Rudy, just glazing him up, like Jesus, she's gonna get a sweet tooth with how much she was just like talking about him. And he immediately like, oh, she doesn't like me back. And then like yeah, and his
Yep.
hostility when you first meet him when Rudy goes to the Magic Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it's just the way it works out that a Little Lies meets him and then they get together. Which is another one because I it's a shame that they didn't also dive into that also because what Cliff does to get a Little Lies to really fall in love with him, they just kind of skip it. They just
Yeah.
close the door. And I'm like, no, we need to see that. That's big for both of their characters.
It is, and it also I feel like heals the separation between him and Rudius and allows them to bond in a different way because now they're no longer competing for the same woman,
Hmm.
and you get that there when he enters the classroom and he's like, "Yo, you're walking with a lot of confidence right now," and
Hmm.
he's like, "I got cured of an illness. I can't talk about it." And it's almost like he knows, but he doesn't want to speak on it either because he's like, "Hey, I'm happy for you," and I
Hmm.
was just like, "See, like that's what I'm about. Like, I love that."
It was great. I think a lot of really good starting character moments for, or maybe like a lot of bit of little payoffs for people who've been sticking through the series.
Mhm.
But it's only gonna ramp up from here. It's gonna do. Mushoku Tensei has this thing where, um, obviously the start of season one was like we just kind of show you everything, how the world works, who are all the characters you should really know. And then the thing happens, and then the calamity happens or the turning point happens. And the same thing with season two, season two kind of jumped you right into the action, but the core two is copying what season one's doing. It's going to give you a little bit of that slice of life to really set up the main conflict of the second core, or technically the season, if we want to be 100% honest, the main
Yep.
conflict of the season. um I believe we're getting 13 episodes. This is one, maybe because Fearing got 31. By the way, we should probably have a conversation about Fearing at
Oh,
some point.
yep.
We have very high praise on the BSS, like talking like this is could be one of the greatest anime of all time type
And
talk.
I'm with it. I'm with it
So
100%. I've been turning anybody and everybody I can onto Fruin. I'm like, if you're not in the know about it, like take the time now. Like it's like not knowing Avatar and then going into Avatar. Like,
mhm.
ain't nobody gonna shame you for being late to the game. All right, at least you showed up.
You saw that to kind of continue the tangent. It got a memorial trailer after the season.
I did not see
Like
that.
Crunchyroll made a whole memorial trailer, and it was like, um, what it they had a quote, a little like back and forth between Himmel and Frieren,
Okay.
where Frieren's like, "I'm not gonna say goodbye." She says like, "I'm not gonna say goodbye," and then he said, "Because goodbyes are awkward, so I'll see you again." And then the trailer ends. I'm like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, Frieren just does these little things right, which make me like which reminds me of Mushoku Tensei so much. That's why I'm so excited about it, because it doesn't skip on the little things. And but let's leave Frieren for another episode, or maybe we could talk about it when Any Day Anime comes back, because
Oh,
I'm
we're gonna talk about Fruin.
oh absolutely.
And we have Fruin Fridays.
Mhm.
Just make way for Slime Fridays,
Yeah,
and
Slime Fridays.
I'm so happy Fridays is just staying cooking.
Through the end of the year, Mazer, through the
Yes.
end of the year. But Jesus, we've been talking for over 25 minutes. So you want to talk, so looking up into the rest of the season, what exactly are you kind of looking for that maybe, if you have any questions, I can answer without spoilers, but you've seen the trailers. What
Yep.
exactly from the trailers maybe has really caught your eye, or anything like that that I can answer, and I'll do my best not to spoil.
So I understand Eris is trying to get stronger. I still don't agree with how she left Rudius,
I'll never
but I
agree.
know where her mind's at. I know she is trying because she wants to be strong enough to stand next to him, not to stand behind him.
Hmm.
And I respect that. She did it the wrong way,
Absolutely the wrong way.
but but I want to see her perspective. Like I want her to get an episode 0 where
I would
she's out
not
here
be.
because she got her OVA, but like I want
Mhm.
to see her in the Land of Swords, like training, and then people are like, "That's the end of the day," and she's like, "Nah, like I'm not done training." And they're like, "Why are you training so hard?" And she's like, "I got someone I need to protect," or something like that. Like I want to see that side of her to give her some saving grace, because I
Mhm.
think in a lot of our hearts, Eris died. All right, she's gone. She out. We're just gonna leave her for the streets because there's an opening and it's just her size right there in the streets. She can go right there.
Mhm.
So I would like to see her get in episode 0 to kind of like give her some salvation.
She
Um,
does get her own. So Mushoku Tensei has a few mangas, right?
hmm
There's the main one, which kind of obviously follows the main the story. There are a few anthologies. Then Roxy gets her own one from when she starts out being an adventurer, and Eris gets her own after she leaves Rudy to when she meets up with him again.
Okay.
So, um, I would always say read that one, but in my opinion, it skips out on a little bit too much. So
Okay.
maybe if you can find a YouTube kind of video that kind of tells you what Eris is doing, hell, if anything, if I can't find a good one, I'll make it myself. Because,
All right.
um,
All right.
but I like your idea of maybe in season 3 she gets her own episode 0, where we kind of just finally get to see what she's doing, because in a weird way, she does so much damage to him in like a really half-ass written note.
hmm
Because one of the reasons why she wrote the note in the first place was because she knew that Rudy would follow her,
hmm
or he knew that he would talk her out of it, right?
Yep.
And plus, there was also the butler. Even though Eris is very hot headed, and she's not like smart, she understands what her butler was trying to do to her at
Yep.
the end of season 1. He was trying to sell her to one of the guys you meet in season 2 in the Sword Kingdom, because obviously the her parents are dead. um Her grandfather's dead because of the mana incident, of the
Yep.
teleportation incident. So she's the head of the clan, and the butler was trying to sell her off to preserve the clan, so that her heirs could be, you know
Yep.
the next like heads of the Boreas, the Noto's gray rat Boreas family, whichever one it is. So that's why another reason for her leaving, because after she, for lack of a better word, she makes love to Rudy. And then that moment where she looks at his hands, and then she finally realized, like, oh my God, he's younger than me. And then she's like, I've been relying on him for so much. And she had a lot of great moments in season 1. At the end of season 1, you would have thought, like, to finally, because I hate tsunade's, basically. We've talked about it all the time. I hate
Yep.
tsunade's, but Eris was like, I get it. You know what? After when she was like, "Is that your dad? Did your dad hit you? Square up, bro. Square up. I don't
Yep.
care."
Yeah, I loved that.
And for her to leave that way, and to this, I'll never, in a weird way, I'll never forgive her because if she even wrote like a complete sentence, maybe Rudy would have chased after her, maybe, right? But to
Mhm.
leave that way, where for years, Mazer,
Yeah.
years, Rudy was
Broken.
screwed,
Yeah.
broken, like couldn't even, like, I know it sounds crazy, like ED is crazy. I've never
Yep.
seen a medical condition like ED used in a story this way, and it makes sense. We're like, and also one thing I'm gonna say is the reason why it's so important is because in his first life, he never had an experience like this at all. He never left his house.
Yep.
So to fully give himself over to someone, and this isn't something new, and my friend Miles said it on the podcast, was he's so human that of course I know, I like, if that happened to me, I don't know if I'd be gone for 4 years or however long he was, but I'd be done for a while,
Yep.
right? And he was just so, he's just so human. He's just so human.
They make him very relatable, and it's amazing. I'm super happy with it. I want to see the wedding. I feel like it's not going to go off perfectly. I feel like there's going to be some stuff. Um,
That's
but
next
then
episode, right? Yeah. I
is it
think
the
that
next? Is it that fast?
the between Sophie and Rudy,
Yeah.
I think it's next episode,
Oh
if
wow.
I remember
Okay.
correctly.
I thought it was going to be a couple episodes away. Like I thought there was going to be some like wedding planning going on and stuff like that. But that's fine.
Let me
Um,
check. Let me check the wiki real quick, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be the next episode.
okay. But I'm excited for that. You've been hyping up the labyrinth for a bit, so I'm gonna be honest. I'm excited for that. Um,
I'm always going to hype
I
it up. Always.
I want to see if the man god comes back, and if he does, what Rudy's reaction to him is going to be now that he's with Sylphie and like they're kind of like settling in a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that I don't think that their next encounter will go the same as the ones have in the past.
Well, I've always seen those, and obviously I know what's going on, but I've always seen those as every time they talk, it's like awkwardly tense because
Oh,
Rudy's like,
he the man
I don't
got
care how many times it looks out.
shady. The
Shady
man
as
got
hell, man.
shady, and he knows that. But at the same time, this dude has the word God in his name. Like, so there's gonna be like a bit of reserve.
Hmm.
I'm waiting for him to get to a point where Rudy is trusting himself enough, and he's broken out of his depression enough with Sylphie and with his, his friends and his counterparts that he's like, you know what, I don't need you anymore. Like, thank you
Hmm.
for your help in the past. Like, leave me alone. Like, I'm here to chill. Um, well, will it happen? I don't know, but I
Hmm.
would like to. In my dream scenario,
Hmm.
like he would have one of those, and he'd be like, "Hey, like, nah, we're done. You go, you have a good time, but I'm not here for it no more." Um, and I think that the reason that I kind of fantasize about that is because, like you were saying, Rudius is very human. He's very relatable, and I want to see him reach that level of happiness and peace in his life
Hmm.
where a god shows up and he's like, I don't need anything else. Like I'm content.
It's gonna be this. I know I'm gonna keep gassing up, but if season one didn't sell you, like obviously, if you're still on the fence for some reason, the next like probably 5 episodes are gonna have you like at the top. You know when you go on up a roller coaster, then there's that second
Yep.
where you're like, that's basically what we're doing right now.
Okay.
So I know my friend Santo, who we're gonna have on later, when the next episodes come out, he's really excited. Obviously, Lonnie's done a little bit of reading ahead to kind of see what's going on, and he's like, oh, is this if and he's like, if this labyrinth arc does not deliver the way you've been talking to me, I'm gonna tackle you through the screen. And I was like, then after you tackle me, I'm gonna fly to Japan and start fighting some people in Studio
Yep.
Bind. because they're
That's
gonna.
that's where I am with slime. Is
Mhm,
I'm like, yo, y'all better deliver me something beautiful because you just gave me two arcs back to back, or you said you're going to. Like, that's my show. The way that Mushoku Tensei is with yours, and I love Mushoku Tensei, but
mhm.
if I'm putting number one and number two, personally, I'm putting Slime one just for my own personal tastes and that sort of thing. Um, so I get where you're coming from. Where like if y'all don't deliver, I'm flying out to Japan and on site, no words. I'm just start piecing people up.
Like I have very high expectations for this. And I think one of the best parts, and I guess we could start wrapping it up here. One of the best parts about, I know we touched on Fearing, is a lot of the fan bases are coexisting. Like a lot of
Hmm.
like who's win, Fearing or Orsted. And I'm sorry, but as much as I know about Fearing and Orsted, Fearing does Fearing's gonna lose.
Oh no,
Fearing's gonna lose.
really?
Yes.
Okay,
Barry's gonna lose because Orson has his trump card is so broken that it's ridiculous, and I'm not gonna let you know until probably the anime lets us know because he's
okay,
it
and I'm good with that.
yeah, and his trump card makes a lot of sense, and it's also why he doesn't like the man god at all.
Okay,
But that's why
season one let me know he also doesn't like the man god.
he's like, "Do you know the man god?" And Rudy said, "Yeah," and he didn't even wait on
Nope,
site, trying to kill him
immediate.
immediately. Uh Plus, there's also a thing that Orsted does about him to why. Like, remember when they first meet him, and then the
Hmm.
the ox is like, "Fuck this," and just jumps off the cliff. It's
Yep,
part of his ability. That's all I'm gonna say.
really. Okay.
Mhm. So it's there's a lot going on, and woo, I can't wait. I
Yeah,
can't wait, man. I can't
I'm
wait.
I'm here for it. I'm so happy that the new season's finally here. Um,
Mhm,
I was going through a little bit of anime burnout, and it's clearing up at like the perfect time.
mhm,
And I'm like genuinely excited for what Mushoku Tensei has in store for this core. And episode one did not disappoint me in the slightest. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Had a little bit of comedic relief. You got to see Rudius being normal again, I guess is the best way to say it.
mhm.
Um, yeah, like I'm here for it. I'm team Rudius 100%, and uh he's in a good place right now, and it's not going to last forever. That's what happens when you got shows that got multiple seasons still coming in the future. Is there's going to be some trials and tribulations, and I know that's coming, but for the moment, we're getting to see him happy, and I'm with it. I love it.
I know I'm excited, man. I'm really excited. I believe I'm trying to find the name of the episode, but I can't find it. But that was our kind of review splash like season preview of core two of episode of Mushoku Tensei season two, episode 13, called My Dream Home. I think next week, if we're not getting the wedding, we're gonna be getting a lot of the wedding planning, and then probably episode 14 will be episode 15 will be the wedding itself proper, and then we're gonna get you're gonna really love you're gonna see why, even though in terms of the hierarchy of the females, Rudy has common contact with Sophie. I always got Roxy number one because without Roxy none of this happens, right?
Hmm.
But Sophie is like 1A for me. I love Sophie. She's amazing.
I'm team Sylvia 100%.
Mhm. Well, anyway, thank you so much, Mazer. We will be back next week to talk about episode 14. Rudy and Sophie are getting married. So
Yo,
finally paying that off, and I'm so excited. We're probably gonna turn this into like an isekai thing because slime Konosuba.
oh,
um
I could talk for another half hour about slime.
we could talk
My
about slime.
my man
Woo!
Diablo, finally gets an episode to himself.
Mhm.
Uh, and I'll preface with this: he's my favorite character in the show.
Really?
Yeah, he's my favorite
Okay.
character so far. I should say so far. Um, and I think part of the reason he's my favorite character is because of who he is as a primordial,
Mhm.
and the fact that to this day Rimuru has no idea. like the level that he's at. Like he knows he's a strong demon, but
Hmm.
he doesn't realize he has a primordial. And that's I think that's part of why I like it is because he's also just willing to be in that spot. Like he's willing to like he could easily just be like, hey, this is who I am, but he doesn't. He's good with just being the butler, just chilling, and his going into the kingdom of Falmouth and basically how he decides to handle things, letting the king just be there in the box to strike fear into everybody, and then not saying a word for a bit, just letting them kind of handle business, and then deciding at the end, like coming out healing the king and turning around and being like, "Yo, these are our demands. We're not going to work with you, even the slightest bit. Like, if you can't get it together in time, we're just going to assume you still want war, and that's fine with us." Like, it was a phenomenal episode. Um, oh man,
I'm just
I
waiting
I've
for
watched it. I've
Ruby.
watched it like 4 times.
I'm just waiting for Rumaru to get his get back on Hinata. That's what I'm here for in this season. Because I've also done a little bit of reading ahead on Slime, and we thought the world building was done in the last season. We about to get
No.
a ton in this season, a ton. So also, a lot of a lot of America references. That's all I'm gonna say. A lot of America references in coming up in season 3. But thank you so much, Mazer. I'll see you on Sunday.
Yep,
We
I'll
drop
be here.
these on. If anything, we should probably like right after the episode. I don't know what your schedule's like, but like I'm probably gonna watch it in the Discord of BSS and then pop on right away. So if you could do that together, obviously I can't, if you and your girlfriend are doing something, obviously I don't want to intrude, but if you want to watch it together and then just do it the review right after. So like fresh thoughts.
Yeah,
So
I'm 100% good with that, and I know she'll be fine with it too because she knows Mushoku Tensei like is one of those that, like it's got my attention.
I'll bring her
Um,
on too. Why not?
well, she needs to watch the rest of the show. So
No.
no, so she's seen 2 episodes now of
Oh
Mushoku Tensei. She
no.
saw one where he's in the animal kingdom and he's still in the cage naked.
Oh
So she
no.
saw that episode like way back when, and
Mhm.
then she saw this week's episode. That's all she's seen.
Oh no. She gotta watch it, man. There's
So
so
she
much.
she thought it was a horror show.
Hmm.
Uh, from just this week's episode, she's like, "Are you watching a horror anime?" And I'm like, "No, not at all. Like, it's just a jump scare moment like that they threw in. It's not part of the show at all." And
Hmm.
then we got to the end, and it's talking about how Sylphie saved Rudius, and she really sacrificed herself to do it, her body and her virginity and everything. And she's like, wait, what? And I was like, oh yeah, like you're missing out on a ton. And she's like, did he like rape her? And I was
No,
like, no,
whoa.
that's not it at
No,
all.
no.
And I wanted to explain it to her, but I also like, I just want her to watch it for herself
Mhm.
because she loves a good story. And I'm like, this is a good story. Like you'll love this. Just give it the time. So maybe I doubt she'll be done with it by this week's episode, but maybe here in a couple of weeks she'll be like caught up current, and
Mhm.
we can bring her on to talk about it too.
Absolutely. I just want to see what happens after she gets to the part where Eris leaves. Because if
Oh,
she was like
she's
me,
gonna be upset.
I was pissed because I didn't watch the anime.
Hmm.
I didn't read the light novels until after that moment
Oh
because I was like, I
no.
have to know what happens next. I can't wait. And I hated Eris for probably about like 6 months. I
Yep.
didn't like anything about her. Like, how could you do that to him? And that's what that departure is what makes it
See,
like.
I'm still on that train, and that's why I want to see her get an episode where she has a chance of redeeming herself a little bit. Like, is she still gonna be like not my favorite person, 100%? But I would like to see her get a little bit of salvation.
I just I'll never forgive her. That's just where I'm at. I know
That's
there
fair.
are people, they're fans in the Mushoku Tensei community who swear by her. I'll never forgive her. I'll
Well,
never forgive.
yeah, my boy Grim Zinta is one of those people
I'll
that
never
swears by
forgive.
Eris, and I'm like,
Man,
bro,
is it Drew thinks Kirito and Asuna is the best anime couple? Grim Zenta likes freaking Eris. We gotta talk, man. I gotta talk to you people.
I walk around with wild company. All right.
I guess, man. I guess. But all right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up because I gotta edit this real quick before the podcast.
Yep.
And also, I'm trying to get Mazer on the podcast. We just got to find the right time to do it. Um, episode 24 of the BSS podcast. We are ranking. We're doing actually no, we're doing a bracket of all the American anime style or the Western anime style cartoons.
Okay.
So Invincible,
Yep.
Avatar,
Does Boondocks fall under that?
Boondocks.
Ooh.
Boondocks fall into that. So we're doing a bracket of where they all stand. Realistically, we just want me and Lonnie want to talk about Invincible because the season just ended.
Yep.
And Riddell was like, "No, it's not anime. We can't talk about the whole." I'm like, "I'm sorry. You need to
Nah.
read Invincible. Invincible is one of the best comic book stories out there. People don't want to have that conversation. Want to have it's one of the best stories out there. Also, the author really thinks he's really like power scaling his guy. I'm pretty sure he's just glazing, but he's like, Invincible can beat Superman. He can even beat Chainsaw Man. I was like, I guess in a fight, but Chainsaw Man erases concepts from existence. So, are you sure you want that smoke from a guy? All right. By the way, you reading the new Chainsaw Man been on a heater lately, but we can talk about that another time. The
Yep.
manga's been on a heater. So, part 2 was really slow and people started to talk mess about it, but now
Have you
it's
started reading Kagurabashi yet?
no. Lonnie gave me some homework of a manga I need to read. Um, so, but it's on my list. We'll be reading Dear Enemy.
Okay.
That one has been pretty good, but we think it's going to get canceled because we love it. We love it over here, but it's not doing well in Japan, so I think it's going to get
Oh,
canceled.
yeah.
What was the other one I've been reading a lot of manhwas lately, and then also rereading Solo Leveling because why not?
Yep.
So
The season was so good.
season was good, and season 2 is already confirmed. So they're saying probably start of next year is when season 2 is coming from early projections. But take your time with it.
Yep.
Take your time with it because we're
Don't
getting.
rush. Don't rush this. All right. Don't do God of High School and like Tower of God. Like don't rush it. Like take your time. Like make it what it needs to be.
Mhm. By the way, Tower of God's coming back, and from
Yep.
Riddell is all the way caught up on it, and he's glazing Tower of God even more than I'm glazing the Labyrinth arc of Mushoku Tensei, because everything we saw in season 1 was just a prologue.
Yeah.
Now we're
And
getting
well,
Tower of God proper.
and here's the thing with that with Rachel. Apparently, she was a way worse person. Like
I
they kind of skipped a lot.
I
Um
I still think that's one of
and
the greatest plot twists I've ever seen. When she pushes him off the thing,
yep.
I was shook. Like, maybe because I obviously have not watched all of fiction, but the Red Wedding is the greatest plot twist or whatever I've ever seen. Like, I didn't expect it at all. Obviously, I didn't read the books, and to this day, I'm still shook by it. Right,
Hmm.
and I felt the exact same way when Rachel pushed Bond off the thing. I was like,
Yeah.
"What?
Apparently, if you read it, it's so much worse.
Oh my god!"
Like
Which
they
is
apparently they left a lot out that makes her betrayal just like leaps and above like what the anime portrayed.
wow.
Um, one of the podcasts that I follow,
Mhm,
the Anime Junkies, Three Weebs, and a podcast. They're out of like the Baltimore area.
mhm.
Um, they talk about it like probably once every 5 episodes, and it brings heat every time. Like they start getting mad just talking about it, and we're talking years later, and they're like, "Nah, like I'm still not okay with this."
I gotta read it at one point. I'm just there's so much going on that I'm reading, but I know we're supposed to end this like 5 minutes ago, but we just keep talking. But thank you guys so much for us for watching this. Make sure you if you haven't caught up Mushoku Tensei, catch up because Core 2 of season 2 is not gonna let you down. And Studio Bond, please do not make me a liar. Okay, don't make me a liar. Um, where can the people find you, Mazer, especially as you ramp up any day anime?
Um, So this week there's going to be like a short episode of Any Day Anime, just to kind of welcome the people back,
Mhm.
remind them of sort of what's been going on in life and that sort of thing. So that'll be tomorrow. But otherwise, it'll be every Wednesday at 7 p.m. and they can find me on Twitch at Mazer underscore Ultor. That's where the show's hosted. And then also Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Mazer Ultor Gaming.
Mhm.
Because originally it was supposed to be a gaming thing and it turned into anime after the fact. But yeah, this week is just, it's not even a real episode. It's just kind of to let everybody know sort of what's been going on in my life and what to expect moving forward. So next week we'll be like, we're officially back. We're talking anime. We have like 6 months of anime to go over since the
Mhm.
last time I made like a full episode.
Yeah, man.
So it's gonna be a busy one. But I'm super looking forward to it. And if you're available, I'd love to have you
Oh,
on.
I'm pulling up. I always gotta support you because when I was starting out, you supported me a lot. So that's why we've been trying to find the time to get you on the podcast because I'm out of the BSS guys. I'm the guy who watches probably in terms of the slice of life stuff a lot more, right?
Hmm.
No, because I'm not trying to talk mess on them, but they talk about JJK, they talk about Attack on Titan, all the big ones, and I'm not saying that they're casuals. They deep dive into them. Like Riddell is an Attack on Titan encyclopedia at certain points, right? Miles is One Piece till he dies, right? Full Metal
Hmm.
Alchemist till he dies. Same thing with J-Rob with like Blue Lock and stuff. And by the way, we need to talk about Blue Lock being the GOAT sports anime of all time and possibly one of the greatest anime of all time. It's that good, guys. I'm
Yeah,
telling you guys,
it
it's
is.
that good.
I'm
And shout out
I'm
to Alyssa.
100% on board with that. Blue Lock.
Yeah,
If you haven't watched Blue Lock, please just do it. Like, give it the chance.
shout out to Alyssa because I was sleeping on it, and then she just kept telling me about it, and she was right. That's why I made sure to shoot her Apothecary Diaries as a makeup. Like, go ahead and watch this; she'll
Oh,
like it.
Apothecary Diaries was so good too.
I feel bad for that show because if Frieren didn't exist, Apothecary Diaries would get a lot more love. Mind you, it's still getting love.
Yeah.
But when you come out at the same time as one of the greatest anime possibly of all time, you're not gonna get the love. Plus solo leveling, plus JJK was still doing its thing. So it's been crazy. It's been so crazy, but make sure you subscribe to my channel. No, what? Forget that. I don't like saying that. Make sure you just come back. We're gonna be doing this every week. Season part 3 of 2023 anime year in reviews getting ready to come out here in a few days. If not, it should be out by the time this video's out. My free reign video is coming out. I'm doing also a random video on the daily life of high school boys, a 12 episodes, one season slice of life anime that's just fun. It's just a lot of fun. It's one that like you don't need to pay attention to it because it's like a series of short stories,
Hmm.
Mazer, and then you can just like you watch it with your girlfriend. You just have a good time because it's just like you got to get it. I know it's obviously it's dated because it's like the 2000s kind of thing, but
Okay.
you see clips of it all the time anywhere because they're just hilarious, right? And it's just bros being bros, and I it's just fun. And then obviously working on the future, I'm gonna be dropping my first book recommendation video. I always say why you should watch, but I'm doing why you should read. And then I'm going to be reviewing on the BSS channel itself. I've been reading Naruto for the first time, and
Okay.
I'm dropping. I stopped to work on obviously the videos we were doing together, but also I'm reviewing the prologue and the Land of Waves arc all at once. I'm making
Okay.
a video on that to drop on the BSS channel itself. So there is content coming, and of course, I still like making AMVs, and I'm making another one. So pretty soon, I feel like I'm gonna have a really big, growing collection of AMVs, and it's all coming from here and we're trying to get really big. And thank you guys so much for watching and supporting. Make sure you go support Mazer Ultra and his squad of Anyday Anime on Twitch. Follow the Black Sin Society everywhere, and come back to my channel sometimes. Let's talk. Not just that. I gotta react to another Minecraft thing because the guy made another one, and people have been telling me who watched that video to watch the new one. And I still every day I get like, oh, I was in that video and I was doing this, and because I was, when I don't know if you've seen it, but I ask a lot of questions like, why is this happening? Why is this
Hmm.
happening? And a lot of people who are part of that were like, oh, this is what I was doing. That's why, because obviously he made a narrative, but just the fact he got 1,000 people to simulate a civilization on a Minecraft server was ridiculous. And it ended with a massive battle where and it's one of those where it's permanent. So if you die, you die and you're kicked
Oh.
out the server. So it was
Yep.
like, it was crazy stuff. And it was like an hour long. I watched all of it. I was reacting. I stopped and asked questions because it was one of the greatest things I've ever seen on YouTube. I can only imagine how much it took. And even the guy who made the video responded to me and was like, thank you so much for watching. I was like, keep making stuff like this. I'll keep watching. So outro out. Mazer, we'll see you next week. Guys, we'll see you next week. And make sure you tune in. Bye, guys.
Love you.
Oh, that was nice. That was nice.